live stream also has the correct broadcast. So hi everybody, this is Abhyuday Agarwal, co-founder and COO at Lawsikho, and I have with me Shravan Belsare, who is a student of contract drafting diploma and a final year student of uh, GNLU, getting into final year now. Bhavna, I've just switched on recording. Thanks for reminding me. Okay, so welcome everybody, and we're going to discuss today how, as a young lawyer, you can look at setting up a freelancing service. But before that, let's just have a quick introduction of Shravan and know a little about how his law school life and all of that. Shravan, would you mind tilting your mobile phone? That's actually better. And you can, yeah, that's better.
All right.
Yeah, and raising it up, maybe putting it on a book if possible.
Yeah, I understood. Just a sec.
Yeah. Okay, in the meanwhile, I'm going to ask all of you to please share whether you're in law school, which year you're in, or if you're practicing, how many years you've been practicing, what's the area in which you're practicing. Please let us know that, okay? Let us know on chat quickly. Second year law school, Shubham Sharma. Okay. Great. Yeah, Shravan.
Yeah.
Set up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just once.
Okay. Any practicing lawyers here? Okay. Any CACS here? Just checking. Okay. So mostly, at least from the responses, there is a practicing. What is ACB, Malini? Posh and ACB. Otherwise, there are law students primarily. Got it. So, Shravan, ready?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So you have a huge, enthusiastic law student audience here.
Definitely.
And there may be a couple of practitioners. Malini has said that she practices ACB and Posh. Vidisha has graduated. Anti-corruption bureau cases. Got it, Malini. Okay, so Shravan, would you like to share a little about your law school journey and how you actually chanced upon this area that, oh, I can actually be a freelancer?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So thank you for having me here. I'd really like to share my journey so that maximum students can get benefit out of it. So the first thing, when I entered law school, I was flabbergasted. I was flabbergasted by the number of opportunities that came across me: debates, MUNs, sports, and I was one who participated in everything. And as a result, I lost a lot of time, and I participated in basically everything except for academics. And as a result, I was lagging behind in academics. But somehow I thought that moots will compensate for it. Then I started mooting. I went on to do Stetson, and I went on to do 2 other moots. However, I realized in my third year that these are not the requisite skills that clients want. That's what I realized when I first talked to. When I talked to, there was a friend of mine who was studying in engineering colleges, and they started their own startups by the time I was in third year, fourth year.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time I was in third year, they started business and they started asking me stuff. They started asking me for help and some queries or something. And I realized that this is not what I can help them through with easily, with the knowledge that I have, with the skills that I have. So then began the corporate internships phenomenon in the fourth year. I went to economic laws practice. I went to Khaitan. I went to Trilegal. I went to Nishit Desai, and I learned a lot about drafting there. For the first time, I saw how a drafting practice can be huge. Most of their practice, not most of their practice, but a good amount of practice is drafting agreements. They are high level agreements, share purchase agreements, or there are even private agreements for private clients. But I saw the precision that they drafted with. I saw that they had such strict formats that you have to write. If they decided it's 06 June 2020, everywhere it will be in the same format: 07 June 2020. Nowhere will it be 7th June 2020. Nowhere will it be 7 June, 2020. And I learned that they were giving something extra over and above any other lawyer who would draft for them. So that's why I decided that drafting could be really a good place to start with. Then when I was sitting in a law firm, I thought that I was just being given bits and pieces of work, and I think it's fair on their part also, because nobody would like to invest on a 1 month intern. Nobody would like to train a 1 month intern who is just going to be there for a short period of time. So they give generally work like proofreading, some parts of due diligence, and it's up to us to faint through to find what we can learn through them. So whatever document I got, I used to scan them through entirely. Like if they asked me to proofread a 100-page document, I would also read the contract. I would also read the loan agreement. And that's when I realized, okay, the contracts have a structure and this has to be followed. And I realized something way more important, that this is far away from what my law school has prepared me for. It had prepared me for contracts one, contract two, guarantee indemnity and whatnot, but not drafting a contract. And as far as I understand, a drafting paper is only introduced in the last or final years of most law schools, which is also not very well taught. So I thought of getting the skills first. So I started finding online, and there were templates, there were general online guides. And
okay, before we get to that, Shravan, would you mind if I ask you a few questions to understand uh, a little more about your life experiences? So my question first is that these engineering friends that you had, what they are your school friends who went into engineering, or how did you come across them first?
yeah, they were my school friends who went into engineering. And somewhere around the line, you will find some engineers who have built their own startups while still in college.
So a lot of law students, if you from your school group itself, you will find your batchmates, seniors, juniors who've gone on to engineering and who will know you as one of the earliest lawyers in their network, and they
Definitely.
will call you, right? Am I audible? Bijal cannot hear me. Are the others able to hear me? Is my voice too faint? I'm audible. Fine. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. So that's how Shravan came across this experience of people asking him questions about business related issues, and which he said that he wasn't equipped.
Abhyuday, can you please keep the microphone near you?
Okay. Is it better now?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay. So I'm saying that this is how Shravan came across people who are uh, across business related queries, and you realized basically that it's not everybody that you're not equipped for this during law school, right?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Okay, I'll fix my voice, and in the meanwhile, Shravan, you continue.
Yeah. So in January 2020 itself, I came back to my city after completing my internships, and I started looking for work. Like, where can I get job opportunities or opportunities for freelance assignments? And I found this one friend. He was a very good friend of mine, and he was into filmmaking. As far as he told me, that area was very uncorporate, if I may. There are no written contracts. There are just verbal agreements. There are no terms, and it just goes haywire from there. You just decide the price and you just deliver the video. So that's what was going on. And I asked him that, what do you give as a proposal? I had heard him once that he had to draft some proposal and give it to a corporate client for advertisement. And I asked him, what is the document that you give him? So at that time, he showed the document to me, and it was okay. She conveyed the message, but it was not a contract. It was just a one-page PDF with minor details like what all will be covered in the service and what is the charges. Now, I, for one, had read one terms of engagement in my corporate internships, which terms of engagement is as an informal agreement through which law firms engage with their clients. So I got that document because I had to correct the formatting of it, but I had somehow gone through it. So I knew the format, scope of services, and everything. So I said, "Give it to me. I'll draft. I can draft a better one for you. I won't charge you anything for this, but I can draft a better one for you." So I took my first assignment from there, and it was basically free. Even though he offered to pay me, but I said, "Ki, no, it's okay. I'll do it for free for this time." And that was because of our relationship and not because I wanted to give in free. But I also read somewhere that I should start with others or giving free services. I'll come to that later. However, on this person, he was genuinely impressed by what I gave him, because they could cover a lot of clauses: dispute resolution, timely payment, interest rates, and all. But however, he asked me that in my industry, nobody will take this. Nobody will get a written contract. They will just have a WhatsApp agreement. So why? How can you can sell this to me, but how will you sell this to others? Now that struck a chord, and I realized that I need to sell contracts as a whole, not just my service, but I need to sell the industry contracts, that you should use contracts. And I found the pinch point where the businesses could realize that why they needed contracts. The pinch point was debt recovery. Nobody wants nobody wants to have written contracts because they don't know the benefits. Now if they ask me the benefits and I start listing them, academic benefits 1 2 3 4 5, they won't listen to me. But I throw this one pinch ball that it will help you in debt recovery, and they're all in for it. So that was something that I figured out there, that debt recovery is a major thing for new startups and even set businesses. So that's how I thought of developing a contract drafting practice there and then. Then I tried many ventures. Like I tried giving it to free for some startups, and in my experience, it was a disaster. If I gave them free service, one startup asked me to draft a shareholders agreement for free, and I thought that was a huge thing to ask for free, but I still complied. I said, okay, I'll see what I can do. And I had to call them 3 times for like what are the updates, what are the requirements, etc., etc. They were not showing interest. So I realized that free is not the way to go. Maybe I can give them free services in other forms, but my core service cannot be free because they will not value it. So that was a bad experience. I left the business relationship there, and I ventured on my freelancing platforms. So from there, I went on to online freelancing platforms like Fiverr. I, for one, grew on Fiverr, but there are other platforms also, Freelancer,
You grew on
Upwork.
Fiverr in the sense?
As in, Fiverr is a platform. So I set up a profile at Fiverr, and it took 3 months to get me the first assignment. But after that, I got 5 assignments in span of less than 1 month. So once the thing starts of one good review, the people start trusting you. And the thing is that foreigners don't mind paying $100 for a good contract, but Indians will definitely mind paying 7,000 rupees for a good contract. So it's a very good opportunity for law students to get on these freelancing platforms and try it out. It's not for money. If you start, you'll have to start with $5 and $10 only, and you'll have to do it for 700 rupees. But the thing is, you will know what businesses need, what businesses want. I came to know that what they needed the most was, one, user terms and conditions for their websites or app development, or number 2, privacy policies. So now comes the other part. Okay, now I got the work, but how to do the work? So there I searched a lot, and somehow coincidentally I was also part of the Lawsikho drafting course since January itself. So whenever, suppose I get a contract, I could look it up on my management system, and I could get a format, or I could get a 2-page reader on what the contract would be. And this is the kind of information that I couldn't get in my contract textbooks, be it Ratanlal, Dheerajlal, or any big names. I could get contract law, but not how to draft a contract. And obviously those books are pretty old, and privacy policies were, I'm sure they didn't consider privacy policies while writing their books. So I came on to Lawsikho course and found out they have a lot of modules and all. So I started browsing through them, and I edited them to customize it for the clients, and then I gave it to them. And I think it's going fairly well, because so far the reviews have been really good. And I am increasing the pricing. Now about the pricing, I also started with $5, 400 rupees for one contract. And it was 8 hours of work. Because of the first contract, it was a user terms and conditions from an Australian client. I did it for 400 rupees. And I had to research a lot because of Australian regulations, etc., etc. I had to go through. I went through a lot of Australian companies' websites, and I sought their user terms and conditions, drew out appropriate clauses, and saw what is their Consumer Protection Act, etc., etc. but it took me 8 hours for the first contract and it fetched me only $5. The second contract was also user terms and conditions. It fetched me $10 and it took me 1 hour. And accordingly, now it's increasing progressively, and the time that I need to give in on the contracts is decreasing. This was for freelancing platforms, which I did otherwise, which I would suggest that if you are in your third year or fourth year, you can easily start it. Even in your fifth year, there is nothing wrong in starting late, but it will take time to build up your profile and then get good reviews and then get good.
I have a question, Shravan. So, okay, you can share your Fiverr profile on chat so that people can see it. So when people give you a mandate on Fiverr, it is not that they are looking for legal service. In all
Yes.
the foreign jurisdictions, they have these classified as business support and consultancy
Yes.
services and all of that. And plus, is there anything like that you have to read up for foreign law? Like, maybe Consumer Protection Act is something that you'll have to look up in different countries if you get an international mandate. And what does it take clients to like? Do they ask you whether you're a lawyer or not, or do they just want anybody who can do the work and then they get it reviewed by their internal teams, or how does it work?
So this is an interesting concept that even many law students are unaware of. That lawyers and advocates are different. Lawyers means you get a law degree. That's a lawyer. Advocate means you get a bar council license and you practice in a court. That's an advocate.
Correct.
And these are legal. These are services which are drafting services which anybody can do. Even a
CA or a CS, they can also draft contracts.
Yes. Even a 10th standard person, if he knows how to draft one, he can draft a contract. It's essentially just putting English down of what the intention of parties is.
Correct.
So, what happened with the clients, international clients, is I generally go to the websites of big companies engaging in similar trade, and they for one always upload their terms and conditions on their websites. So on their limitation liability clause, there will be the Consumer Protection Act, their particular act mentioned, and they will also mention some sections, and they will also mention, like for example in Australia, they mentioned that to the extent permitted by section 57 of their act, of their statute, we exempt ourselves from every liability, etc. So I put it in my contract also that way only. I can't put the same Indian thing in their contract. So I look up, instead of looking up to Australian laws, I look up to Australian companies' contracts. Not templates, but Australian companies' contracts. And these
what is Australian companies' contracts?
It's a general term. Australian companies who have uploaded their contracts on internet.
Okay.
So, for example, if you are sitting in, let's say, Sri Lanka, and if you want to draft something for an Indian, so a small Indian finance company, when you draft user terms and conditions, India finance, you will get SBI user terms and conditions. From that, you can get a hang of basic law and how the structuring of the contract has to be done.
Correct.
So from then I proceed further. And these people of Commonwealth jurisdiction, they know very well that drafting, getting a contract drafted in their jurisdiction is way costlier. It will easily cost them, in Australia, it will easily cost you around $500 for the first consultation if it's a good lawyer. Right. And these are very small businesses who will seek help on Fiverr, obviously, but their small businesses are big clients. So
same problem in India, but obviously their small businesses are willing to pay more.
Yeah. So, and they are willing to trust the internet. Like, I am yet to come across an Indian client. Indian clientele is not at all there on Fiverr. On Fiverr, India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh are the servers, and the Commonwealth developed nations are the clients. So there is also thing about trust over internet services. So
because Fiverr has made a platform which enables people to trust based on reviews. They can trust the service provider. And sorry, I muted you by mistake. Can you just
Yeah, I did it.
So and the platform is reliable, which enables people to trust it, basically.
So I also found out this one guy who was on Fiverr, one Indian lawyer, who has been on Fiverr since 2016.
Okay.
And till now he had some 523 5-star ratings.
Wow.
And his minimum charge was $150 for a contract, and $150 was for standard contract of 1 or 2 pages. And so obviously he will be charging $200, $250. Now I multiplied it with the ratings, averaged it out to, let's say, even $100. He must have made around 15 lakhs through just Fiverr.
Yeah.
So over time, it definitely can make you a rich person, or even you can learn a lot.
Hmm.
So that was one part. Then the second part was getting Indian clients and getting to know what Indian clients want. So after I got this friend of mine and his terms of engagement drafted, he then he being a good friend, he went on and showed when he showed it to others. Yeah, he transacted it with his counterparties. They also liked it, and
This was
they
the Indian
also
friend you're talking about now?
yeah,
The
yeah,
guy
the
who
Indian
made
friend.
the proposal where you said,
Yeah,
I'll improve it for free and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Okay.
So when he submitted that proposal to others, they must have asked, "This is not drafted by you. You're a filmmaker. You are not a drafter.
You are a?
You are a filmmaker. You are not a drafting guy,
Okay.
because we have seen your previous proposal. This is not drafted by you." So even they asked about me. So he told me that they have asked about me. They have obviously not contacted me for any work, but I know for sure that it's step one. They know that I exist and I draft good stuff. That's step one for me.
Right.
Now whenever they need, they may remember me, may or may not, but at least I exist. So also based on his advice, I started my own marketing or educating, whatever we can say. So the thing is that most lawyers, they market in written form on blogs, LinkedIn, etc. And I for one abhor LinkedIn like anything. I cannot digest a lot of motivation posts from class 12 students on my feed. So I generally don't like LinkedIn. And I saw that not many clients, LinkedIn's user interface is a bit weird. If somebody wants to view my profile, they'll view my profile without seeing any of my articles on the app at least. So they might view my profile, but they won't know any of the value that I've shared. So I decided that I'll go to something else, and I went with Instagram. And that was a very good idea. That turned out to be a very good idea. So on Instagram, I started my own page. It's underscore Shravan Belsare. If somebody wants to see what I did there, and I made posts about law, and not just news articles law, because there are many lawyers who will be posting anything and everything that's legal around you. I stuck to commercial law. So I stuck to, let's say, what are the website contracting interfaces, click wrap agreement, shrink wrap agreement, and I would write about income tax, basics of income tax. Now, this also I came to know through my startup friends that they know nothing about income tax. And
if they start making money, the first question they ask is about income tax for every kind of transaction.
Yes, exactly. And the funny part is that none of the law students also know about income tax. So, and another funnier part is that none of the college faculties also know about tax. So I had to do a lot of digging of my own and understand income tax myself. And I started because only then I could answer their queries. Their queries would be very simple: how much we have to pay, why we have to pay this much, and where can we save. So, but to answer these three queries, I had to do a lot of digging in, and then I posted about income tax on my Instagram, and I got a good response. 3 to 4 people turned up, and out of them, 2 actually filed income tax returns through me. So in the process, I also learned how to file a income tax return, which now also I'll do of my own next year maybe. But at least I got to know what an income tax return is and how to file it. And
so the important, sorry, continue.
Yeah, so the important part of this was that what I realized through a relative was that lawyers are not at all into income tax returns. This is an entire market captured by chartered accountants. And I simply cannot understand why. And because if they want to have a tax query solved, why not you?
Right.
So I see tax as a major thing to serve startups in a long run. In the short run, obviously, contract drafting does wonders, because everybody will have 1 or 2 contracts that they need to draft. They will have their standard terms of engagement. They will have their user agreement. They will have their privacy policies. They will have their, let's say, partnership agreement, co-founders agreement. But what after that? You won't have agreements being drafted continuously. And once you give them the template, they only make the small changes, and they only change it. So where is my work then?
Mhm.
So I thought that tax is way better. Contract drafting is good. I'll continue with that, but tax is something that I should hop on to, because that's a
Okay.
continual process, and government is constantly changing the tax laws, amending it year after year,
Mhm.
creating more and more scope for people like me. And so yeah, that's
But
it. I
tax
just,
return filing is not a high margin service. So how did you?
it's not a high
Why
margin
why do
service,
you say it's better than, let's say, drafting? Just out of curiosity, I want to ask you.
because firstly it will happen every year.
Hmm.
It will happen to all of the people,
Mm-hmm.
because most of them know that if we want a bank loan, we'll have to file return for 3 years.
Yeah.
And uh, businessmen know all this stuff. Surprisingly, lawyers don't, but businessmen know, they
Bank
know their
loan,
stuff.
credit card, any of
Yes,
that you need. You
three
want
years income tax
insurance.
returns. So
Yeah.
when I'll go there, they won't even have their accounts. So I will also help them prepare their accounts. That is also a service I'll provide. I have a commerce background, and so I know how to get the accounts done. I'll get them on simple basis, like get your bank statement, and I'll help you make your accounts. And it can easily take me an entire day to fill up one person's income tax return, because firstly we have to determine the income, and it's for their service, and
Okay.
for which they have done lots of weird stuff.
Basically, you are making, so this is not just an income tax return filing service. You're making a business which had no accounts, no system,
Yes,
ready to have an accounting system and file their first return, which basically means you're like overhauling the system once and for all.
yes.
After
So
that, they can hire a basic accountant who does bookkeeping
yes,
work, but they are right on track.
exactly. And
Okay.
once they have income tax returns, they will definitely need to remember me every 3 months or every 12 months, depending on their status.
Okay.
And every time they'll remember me, they will think of something that they need from me. They
Right.
won't think of me, yeah, okay, let's call him for return only. They will think of 2 3 more drafting. Okay, I also have this collaboration agreement with him. I also
Yeah.
have this agreement with also drafted. So somehow that tax thing looks way better to me
It
than,
looks exciting to you.
yeah, definitely.
Okay. Okay. So I
And
have a slightly different
uh,
take on it. I agree with the excitement part, but the ways to use it, there are even more ways to use it. But I'll come to that. Uh, let's just pause, okay? Because people have asked a lot of questions,
okay,
and let's address those one after another. So, like Janisha asked these two important questions. How did you find the first? Like, how did you come across the startup who wanted the SHA? And she also asked another question: what are the kind of contracts drafted by you, and what's the procedure you take to engage with clients? So, 5 procedure we understood. Okay. Any other procedure, and how did you meet this SHA client? These two questions, if you could take
okay.
together. Yeah.
So I started with LinkedIn. So I kept
Yeah.
myself as open for jobs on LinkedIn, and I saw that searched for all the companies that were looking for legal intern or legal assistant,
Yeah.
and I contacted their CEOs directly on
Yeah.
LinkedIn or through email. So I got this one like on LinkedIn itself, and then we had a physical meeting, and then he asked me to do this. And as soon as I emailed him that I will be doing one assignment for free, and he called me within 10 minutes, and
Yeah.
we had a meeting set within 1 hour, and I went there, and he gave me that bomb that, okay, you have to draft the shareholders agreement, uh,
Uh-huh.
and he explained this, we have this, and he went. So I thought he went away, and he asked his two juniors to explain the rest to me, who couldn't explain anything to me. So I even found that a bit disrespectful to me. And I thought that this was just because I asked him to do it for free that this thing happened. If I had asked 1,000, even let's say a token amount, 5,000 rupees or 10,000 rupees, he wouldn't have, he would have valued it. So that's what I learned from there, that core free services are not the way to go. Obviously I can give free content on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on blogs.
Yeah. Yeah. That
That's
that thing
different.
you said. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing. And this was the only question, right?
Yeah. And she also said, what's the client onboarding process like for you?
Yeah, so mostly they message me on Instagram first, and I get to, and they say, can I call you, and I try to get the crux of the matter on the text itself.
Hmm.
And I'll buy myself 12 hours before the call.
Hmm.
And I'll research everything in and out of the topic. For example, I posted about trademarks once, and there were around 3 to 4 queries
Hmm.
for me on my DM.
Hmm.
However, I realized that I learned trademark law that semester itself,
Hmm.
but I knew nothing about filing a trademark.
Hmm.
So I had to research a lot. I watched a lot of YouTube videos on that, and somehow I figured out what the process is, and that I will also need a lawyer to get engaged. So then I also have a connection. I also have a kind of network background where I have my alumni or some seniors I know who have just passed out or are just passing out or have passed out, so that they can do this work for me and we can share the revenues.
Got it.
So that's how I get them to call me after 12 hours of a message. I research the thing, and clients obviously have a lot of queries, and these clients are a bit well educated. If this were, let's say, 1990s, this wouldn't have been the case. Whatever I would have said, they would have believed. Whatever a lawyer would have said, the client would have believed. But today's client is client of 2020 is very educated, he's very aware, and he's aware of the internet. And the internet has pretty much everything. So we must provide something apart from what internet can. And for that, we lawyers anyways have a bad impression of saying
That's fine.
false
Yeah.
things. And
They understand that.
so
They understand
we must strive to provide value. We must strive to
Shravan,
research
that they
first.
understand. Huh? Don't worry about that part. Now, the other parts. Can we move to the other questions, please?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
there's
sure,
a lot of questions. Okay. Bidisha is asking you whether you can refer a good book to learn drafting better.
I'm sorry, but drafting cannot be learned through books. Drafting can be only learned through drafting itself. I, for one, learned drafting through my assignments only. And when I saw the documents in my
Which
law firm
assignments?
internships, in my Lawsikho course assignments, and they were reviewed by people who actually knew what drafting is. And I got to know some common mistakes, some silly mistakes, some grammatical errors, some formatting errors. Like indent is something that not everyone knows what indenting is in a document. Now that thing can only be seen through a professional. So I got to know a lot of stuff from law firm professionals as well, and also through Lawsikho course. So that's where I learned drafting from. Unfortunately, I haven't come across a book that I can learn drafting from.
Got it. Joe Matthews asking, any freelance platform especially for lawyers or law related work?
Not really. Freelancing platforms are basically made up for web designers and designing guys. We are just
there are Indian companies Indian startups are creating lawyer listing profiles, but it's not taking off so well. Like it's still a nascent market, so you can discover those online. There are new websites that keep coming up. Okay, so
I mean, Fiverr and Freelancer would be way better for if you want to get foreign clients than any Indian setup.
Correct. So, Ria, what is your intention about sample drafting templates? There are two kinds of drafting templates. Okay, one is what is freely available online. The second is that when you actually get curated feedback. So templates, if you want to use online, you can just dig out something. But the question is, does it enable you to give something of value to a client if you don't know how to understand it, splice it, and improve it? Okay, that is what Shravan was talking about. Okay. Anything you want to say, Shravan, to Riya's question about sample drafting templates?
Like templates will be available everywhere, and clients know that templates are available. And mostly they themselves are using templates. But we must read each and every clause thoroughly, and we must be aware of what we are writing. That's it. If a client asks me question on what this clause means, I should not be dumbfounded.
Correct.
And it's a client also told me that he used to download templates and use it. Now he's just getting my service because he has his core services to provide. So that made me think also, like Amul also sells ghee, and we can also make ghee on at our homes. Why then people buy Amul ghee? Because you can then focus on your core services. You can focus your time in other things. So that's what CEO would be focusing on. He would be focusing on his core services. A filmmaker
Correct.
wants to direct films, not make agreements. So we must also appreciate this fact that we are not doing any rocket science service to the society, and we are.
Okay, let's list.
Yeah.
Yeah, got that. They wanted a list of some agreements that startups want. So terms of service, privacy policy, some service level agreements are often there. Software development agreements are there.
Partnership agreements,
Partnership,
co-founders agreements,
co-founders agreements. What was the one you drafted for that media person?
terms of engagement.
Terms of engagement. So that's a regular one that, a basic business contract before somebody engages you. So it can be like a service provider agreement also.
Yes, yes.
Okay. These are some of the basic ones that will be there. Okay. There's also a video of mine on YouTube which explains 20 legal services that you can offer to startups. Okay. I'll put the link here later on. What else? Okay. On the whole, there was a little regulatory space. Like there were a couple of questions on regulatory aspects. Like Abhishek has asked, any idea about freelancing rules and regulations used to run services associated with lawyers? Abhishek, I didn't understand the question. Can you explain it further? One of them had asked that how does this relate to the restrictions applicable to lawyers to market their services? So I just have a question for you. I forgot the person who was asking that question. Like, imagine that there is no lockdown and you go to Defense Colony or you go to any place in Bombay and you will see, or you can go to One India Bull Center. You can go to many areas and you have the top business district where a lawyer's office has a swanky lawyer's office, plush building, good car outside, right? Like a lawyer's online profile listing is like that. It's a place where you find the lawyer. It's not about advertising. The question is, it is about saying that the person exists. Now, over there on the profile, what you do is very important. If you're educating the client, it is fine. If you are actually asking for work, it's not. Right? So educating freely for your clients is not a problem. Okay. Plus, when you're listed on a platform, it's the platform promoting itself and the services that people can get on the platform, and the clients are free to choose whom they want. So as long as the lawyer is just listing his profile and credibility, not selling services, that's fine. Same thing when you put up on LinkedIn or Instagram. If you're educating your customer base, you are sharing knowledge, insights, all of that, that's fine, because then you are not actually asking people to give you work. There are a lot of people who say, please give me any legal work. That so they even go and meet people personally and say, give me any legal work. Okay, those things you are not supposed to be doing, right? You're not supposed to be soliciting work. So it's very different what Shravan is doing from what is prohibited. Is that clear for everybody? So you can freely educate your clients through different mediums. You can use Instagram, you can use pictures, you can use audio podcasts, you can use videos. That's different from asking for work, and that's where the solicitation prohibition comes in. Okay. Abhishek, does this answer your question? Okay, got it. Thank you. Kavya, we've answered the question about the kinds of contracts that you can draft. There was this lingering question on tax advisory work. So there is this, whenever you speak to somebody who's new, a new client, they will need you to explain them certain areas where they're stuck with. So they will want some clarifications. Now, tax inputs are really helpful over there for a startup, especially because they will keep getting stuck from time to time. You may or may not get into filing returns. Okay, but giving them those inputs on tax, how to plan founder salaries, how to cut TDS on different kinds of payments that are made, how to claim credits. When you're billing a corporate client, how do you do the invoicing, how GST, how TD, how income tax applies, all of that is really, really helpful for the person to be able to trust you for more advanced work. You may or may not do return filing work, but yes, whenever now, because they can trust you as a lawyer, they don't trust you just with tax work. They will then trust you as a legal, as somebody who can provide them legal assistance on a variety of areas, or any consultancy work on a variety of areas. So from that perspective, tax work helps. And a very important area and a high margin area of tax related work is tax litigation, which if it arises, that definitely can be very high margin work for you. As far as CAs preferring, as far as clients preferring CAs is concerned, there are clients who can't afford lawyers and they don't have everything set up. Many startups will not have a CA before the startup. Okay. So they want somebody who's young, whom they can relate to, communicate with, to be there. So at that time, before they file their first IT return, if they engage a CA, they'll have to pay more money, right? So that's what happens in the initial phases of a startup when you're helping out somebody new. You may not have a CA around in your network. Okay, so Shravan is not saying that get tax advice work from companies which already have their CAs. That's not what he's saying. He is saying that if you have your concepts of tax clear, then the startups who are already there, who are in your network, are likely to need your input from time to time on this. Okay, and there are other concerns apart from return filing, like which a lawyer is better equipped to address than a CA. Okay, about structuring a transaction in a certain way. So a well-skilled lawyer can address those in a way that can be understood by a business person. Okay, and of course there is like some CAs can also do it. That does, I'm not comparing law versus CA, but I'm just saying that as a lawyer also you will get that work. Okay, now the other thing you can always tell your client if you're a student is that, listen, I am charging you for the assistance, for the value and the effort I'm providing. Please do not consider this is not a substitute for legal service or advice if you're not a law graduate, right? Say that, get a lawyer to sign off on this if you want, but I can give you this value. And if you were doing it on your own, then you can use mine as a better one. You can read it and understand it, right? So you're not going to court and filing a document. So it's fine. Like that's how a student's work will suffice. Vibha,
Yes.
did you understand this? So your client, if they want a lawyer or proper legal advice, they can get a lawyer to sign off on it. And they can choose that, no, I don't want a lawyer. I just need someone to assist me with this. And I'm willing to pay whatever we agree on because this is for your labor and effort. Okay, so that is how this works, Vibha. So I want to ask you, yeah, Shravan, we'll carry on with the conversation.
To add to the fact,
Okay.
like lawyers shouldn't be apprehensive of CAs. Actually, they are the people who can get you more work.
Yeah.
In fact, I went before this COVID happened in March only. I went to a CA, just a CA. I searched. He's a CA. He has a good practice going on. I just went to his office and said, "See, hello. I am a law student from GNL. I'm a final year law student. I've started drafting things. If you have any drafting work, see, these are my samples. If you have any drafting work, feel free to contact me." And he almost had a business transfer agreement to give it to me, except that this COVID thing happened, which is not in my hand. But anyways, the point is that CAs are actually helpful in getting more work. They don't know drafting themselves.
CAs, company secretaries, and those who do criminal litigation, a lot of times police officers.
Definitely.
Okay. Abhishek, I do not know the exact situation, but see, I'm saying that when you share experiences, share media which is relevant. Now, Dainik Jagran, I do not know the exact content that was shared which led to violation of copyright law. But if you're a law student or a lawyer, you can identify that what could be a risky situation. Okay, so if you're taking somebody else's content, it's a different question. If Dainik Jagran itself is promoting itself and using its own newspaper, that's not a problem, right? So you have to figure that out. That is very easy to identify, that what is risky, what is not, what could potentially be a copyright violation. And then it's a business call to take that. Do I want to take that kind of risk? Then I'll go ahead, or I will change the way I promote. But it doesn't mean that don't do the activity altogether, right? It doesn't mean that I will not educate my clientele on Telegram because there can be a potential copyright violation. No, it won't mean that. You will shortlist and see what you can promote, what you cannot promote. And that is something that actually a lot of creative professionals need. This advertising industry and creative professionals who work as freelancers, they need trainings on copyright and trademarks law to understand that to what extent, let's say that I'm creating a comparative ad. So how can I compare my client's product to somebody else's and show my client's product to be superior without violating trademark or without disparaging the competitor? Okay, this is an example. Money recovery is another service that creative professionals need. These are independent consultants who generate money from their clients, and they would love to have some legal assistance that enables them to perform their work better and recover money quicker, and obviously contracts. Vibha, you do not need a prior contract between the company and you for the service you are providing. You can, of course, agree on the charge over email or phone.
I mean, just a suggestion to the last question. You can always draft a terms of engagement of your own, because that will also act as a sample of your drafting, because you are also showing off how can you draft. And so that's
Yeah, so
my
you
thing.
can
I
make an
generally
engagement letter.
terms of engagement.
You can make a terms of engagement. Yeah. Ojaswa, terms of engagement is like the basics of what you will be providing, what is payable to you. Service level agreement is something that is more common in more detailed services in the IT industry, or where facility services are involved, where you have to identify 10 different kinds of services and the levels at which it will be provided. In case of this kind of input, you will just have to agree to timelines, and this is how I will resolve queries, and this is the cost for each part of the work. So it's like a way simpler version of a service level agreement in terms of detail and complexity. Complexity also not with respect to the contract, but the operational parts put down in it. Austin, okay, before I take further questions, Shravan, is there anything else you wanted to share?
Yeah,
That is
just one
question.
last thing.
Yeah.
Which was like COVID forced me to think differently. And
Okay.
I also started, because before COVID, my target was digital marketers.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of social media marketers and they use Instagram as their primary platform, and they must need their user agreements, privacy policies, etc. Now,
Yeah.
after this, not many people are excited to get their legal work done because of financial crunch. So, but because of COVID, something else arose, and that's will work, like drafting wills. Although I generally do it in connection with a lawyer, but I focus a lot on getting clients for wills. So basically, and I in fact got like around 20 to 25 initial inquiries, although very few of them got converted. But the thing is that right now the demand for drafting wills is very high. So we must also look around what's happening and what do people need. For example, in a booming economy, what were our clients? They were tech startups. What did they need? These user agreements, partnership agreements. Now, who are the clients? The individuals who are in their late 40s, late 50s, and they need wills. So we must also be slightly versatile in our drafting, in our endeavors. That's one part that I missed out. Yeah. Then.
Okay, so I want to ask people before we go further with questions or any part of the discussion, that how can you use this conversation to fulfill your goal? Now, your goal could be working in a law firm, or it could be starting your freelance work. Okay, and what are the steps that you will need to perform before you get onto your dream of getting freelance work? What are the steps that are in the way?
So
I want people to think about that and write, because I'm guessing some of you were interested in knowing how to set this kind of service up. And so, how many of you still want to do this? And if you want to do this, then what are the steps that you want to? What are the steps in the journey? From what did you? Yeah, Shravan.
Yeah. So you just need to write down. You just need to make a SWOT metrics for yourself. And
Well, let's just do that. No, let's do that over interaction and
definitely.
ask people to write on chat. Okay, so everybody will be at a different place in their law school journey. Now, so somebody asked, okay, I need to learn contract drafting. Another person said, okay, I want to see Fiverr. So what are the different steps that you can identify that will help you in getting started off? Assuming you're interested. Okay, I don't know if everybody is in the session is interested, but this is one way we can use the conversation to increase the value that you obtain from it. Okay, and we can address related questions that'll be more targeted. And now that you know about how to set up basics of a freelancing service, now you can identify okay, I will need help with this, I will need help with this. So can you all start thinking of that? How many of you are interested in starting in exploring freelancing work? Because this is extremely useful even in law firm interviews, and it's not so important to charge. Okay, that's an example that Shravan was giving, and you can charge more or less, you may do it for free, whatever you want to do. But it's not important to measure your earnings. Okay, you may charge because the client otherwise doesn't treat you with the kind of, the client doesn't deal with you professionally, those concerns can be there. The question is that how many of you want to start it, and what are the steps that, what are the challenges you're likely to face?
First thing I believe, is for everyone to accept the fact and come out of denial that whatever is going on with the college thing, whatever college is teaching, is not enough. First of all, everybody must accept this fact, and that clients want something much more than what college can teach. Although college can help you gain your academic basics, right, and which will obviously help you in drafting, but that is not all. You must write down what skills do I need to draft this contract. Look at any random contract. Like if I said privacy policies, okay, go to random 5 websites, check out their privacy policies, and see what do I need to look up for if I want to draft such a privacy policy. So in some privacy policy, you will come across GDPR. So now then you will have to, so now in your next goal, you have to say that I want to learn about GDPR. So then you learn about GDPR, and somewhere there will be written that there will be personal data protection bill is coming. So then your goal will be, I'll also have to read personal data protection bill. So make small steps towards what you want to be and what are the skills that you need. And you can also gain skills from internet. Like there are a lot of content on YouTube. There is a lot of content on Google. How to file a trademark application. If you know the trademark law, it's like 80% done, but you cannot monetize it until you know how to file a trademark application. So we need to write down the skills that we require to make a practical business, practical skill that can be sold in the market. Talk to your startup friends. Talk to the people who are doing any business. Talk to even your elders who are already in business. That how do you need a lawyer? What do you want in a lawyer? Have you had any bad experiences with a lawyer? What do you not like about lawyers? For example, for one, I've heard this, that lack of communication on part of lawyers is a big thing in industry, at least in my state, that lawyers do not communicate promptly. They
Everywhere.
ghost clients. Okay, they're great. So they ghost clients. They don't give updates. They give false updates on cases, and
they get angry with clients who follow up more.
Yeah. And as if and their standard line is, you are not my only client. So we must come out of the pre 1990 era that PSUs used to live in, and we must also become what the new economy has become. We must also become a bit client focused. We must focus on value. Coming to value again, we must write down what is value for the client. So for that, figure out, go to the market, ask people what is value for you, and then try drafting yourself. Get it vetted from seniors, get it vetted from people who have professional experience if they are willing to do so, or enroll in courses. There are private courses who are teaching this. And for one, I joined Lawsikho. You can join any course that's going on. But my point is that we must acquire skills before we start getting clients. Getting clients is relatively easier than doing the real thing. You will keep getting clients on and on once you start giving a good work.
Yeah, so Bidisha asked whether she can advertise. So Bidisha, have you seen any law firm website? They have a disclaimer that, whenever somebody comes, firstly, they may not be advertising. It will just be their place. They'll not do Google ads and all. But when you go there, still they have a disclaimer where they seek a consent and opt-in from you that you're not going there because the firm is soliciting to you, but because you are going there out of your own interest. You can see any law firm website disclaimer and see that. Right, so that is the important part to keep in mind. Okay.
I think people very confuse between advertising and marketing. So advertising is prohibited, marketing is not
See, the
in its
language
literal
is
sense.
soliciting work directly or indirectly. Now the only thing is, if you're educating, you can't expect to get work without educating. Okay, then the whole job of a lawyer doesn't exist. Even in a court, when you're performing and somebody comes and sees how well you've argued, then you can say that is also solicitation. Right, so there are two things: one is performance and one is education. These two things, you cannot say that I'm soliciting work here. And the client is coming from your own. Right, now you can't say that's solicitation when the client comes on your own. So that clarity has to be there. What you're not going to be doing is saying to a client, give me work, give me work, give me work. That's not what you're going to be doing. You're going to be educating them. You're going to be asking them, okay, how do you do this? Where do you struggle? You can educate them. So see, this is how you can minimize risk. and then if they have work, they'll give it to you, right? Is there any common platform? Tina, Shravan had said about Fiverr, right? So you can take a look at Fiverr and see how that works out for you. I prefer, like, Fiverr is a good way from Shravan's experiences, but I would say that start building your own profile and don't be completely dependent on platforms. So the way Shravan goes about things is he does it both ways. Okay, he didn't share enough about Instagram, but he did mention in passing, I think, that how he maintains it, how he educates people through his Instagram profile. So you should have your own standing as well, because the market keeps changing a lot and very fast. So you don't want to be completely dependent on a platform, though a platform can help you. Okay, keep that in mind.
Definitely. In
Yeah.
fact, if I make things a little bit more clearer, Fiverr has brought me, in terms of revenue, it has brought me around 20% of the work. The rest 80% is my local Indian clients only.
Yeah.
So that's substantiating on your part. The another thing, since time is almost up, I just wanted to say that we as people need to work on interpersonal skills. This is a very underrated area of our development. How to talk to people, how to talk on phone, how to talk on text. Never coming off as desperate. And even desperate for work is not going to get you any work. You must
Yeah.
you must be professional in boundaries. I know this should not be said, but we must never use shorthand on text.
Oh, that's a very big turn off.
Yeah, I mean, from a lawyer, it's a very big turn off. And most clients, because most clients you are going to get are young people, and they will be highly turned off by a shorthand text. And of course, since we are just students, most of us don't have a burden of earning money right now, so we can just focus on learning more and more. We can get more and more contracts, we can get more and more market insights of what people want. And there is also a slight leeway of what businesses will allow, since we are a student. And obviously they'll be giving you lesser money for that, but they will have a bit of leeway for mistakes or improvements. So always we should always focus on the learning part. If someone treats you unprofessionally, that's a different thing, but otherwise we should always focus on learning new contracts, learning new skills, making new connections, and building relationships. Like you mentioned, I during our tax thing, where you mentioned that ITR is not a it's a marginal thing, but I forgot to tell you there, and I remembered now that whenever the tax litigation comes up,
They'll come to you.
they'll come to me, and by that time I'll be eligible to participate in a
And
tax
by that
thing.
time, you would have become a very advanced lawyer.
Yeah. So that's let's say if I help 10 startups, 8 of them will fail by the time I even graduate, but one of them will be a medium sized startup, and one may grow so huge, but it will still stay with me if I have given it good work and have good relationships. So maintaining good relationships is something very important, and we don't stress about it enough.
By the way, this is exactly the skill that is needed for lawyers to move from a senior associate or principal associate to partner. And where lawyers struggle in law firms to move to partnership is this skill: client engagement, client interaction, pricing, demonstrating value, onboarding, and communications. Okay, so after you learn all the, suppose you get a law firm job, okay, you will learn all the work in about 3-4 years, but after that the responsibilities sort of shift into also a leadership, team management, of getting clients. Generating clients is one of the most important things, okay, and you can free yourself up if you can manage your team, which requires you to communicate better with people across the board: clients, team members, juniors, everyone. So this field experience right now that you're getting, Shravan, is going to be a critical part there. Supposing you decide to work in a law firm or you decide to start up your own law firm, you will be more comfortable doing that at an earlier age. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to now, we are at the end of time for today's webinar. I'm going to make a couple of announcements just so that you're aware of what all is coming up next. So we've got a workshop tomorrow and day after on, for those of you who are interested in figuring out how to get a law firm job or an internship in any area in a law firm, whether it's disputes, corporate, IP, any area. This is a 2-day workshop 7 to 10 p.m. tomorrow and 7 to 9 p.m. tomorrow, day after tomorrow. So 5 hours, and you will be creating a roadmap on how to prepare to get a law firm job, and you will identify your area of interest and do some research work to figure out that how can I crack my how can I crack my interview, prepare for the internship, all of that. If this is the second edition of this, the last one had a phenomenal response, so we decided to do it again this month after 3 weeks. Okay, so if you all are interested in that, I'm going to share the link it for you to enroll. This is you can visit this link, check it out, and if it is of interest to you, you can register for the workshop. The second announcement is that we've also come up with some introductory courses. One of them is an introduction to practical contract drafting, where you will learn about 6 contracts. So I'm going to share the link on that with you as well. Those of you who are interested in getting started with contract drafting, you don't know a lot about, let's say you don't know a lot about it, but you want to start learning a little on how to go about it, then for that purpose, I am sharing with you the link for the contract drafting, introductory contract drafting course. Okay, that's a 1-month period. You will not learn everything possible under the sun on that. You will not learn 100 contracts that you learn in our diploma, but you will learn how to draft about 5 or 6 contracts, and you'll get a sense of what contract drafting work looks like. Okay, so this is what I wanted to announce. And now quickly, please share feedback, and I'm going to address Abhishek's question, and then we're going to head. Okay. What if an employer presents their terms and conditions to a candidate to sign for joining a company and the candidate does not agree? Is it legal to deny the agreement and make him in condition to join company or leave upcoming employee on the spot? Abhishek, if there are 2 kinds of employment agreements, one is an agreement which has to be certified as a standing order in certain industries. There, if the standing order is approved, only then you can have those conditions in. But where no standing orders apply, it is a free negotiation between employer and employee, irrespective of the fact that you can say that the employer has a higher bargaining power. Okay, but the employee, if he disagrees, can, unless the term is illegal itself. Okay, if the employee disagrees, he or she will have to move out and join someone else.
Yeah, just a bit of concluding remarks from my side as well. So what I want to say to my fellow law students specifically is, please start. Wherever you are, whichever stage you are, please start your own thing. Even if you want to join a corporate later, even if you want to litigate later, start your own thing right away. Like, get the skills and start it right away. You just need a bit of courage. You will get a lot of rejections maybe initially, but please start right away, so that you don't miss out later. Yeah, that's all from me.
All right. Thank you so much, Shravan, for your time. This was a really exciting session for me as well. Okay. And thank you, everybody. Stay tuned. We will keep on bringing more and more exciting webinars to you. And for those of you who are going to be there in the workshop, see you tomorrow. Cheers and bye, everybody. Yeah.